I'll make you famous. Terrence Malick's Badlands has long been one of my favorite films, with Martin Sheen's chilling portrayal of Cat brothers leaving an indelible mark on cinema history. But here's a revelation I only recently uncovered. Within that 1973 classic, there are actually two Estz brothers appearing on screen. Alio Estz, at just 10 years old, appears uncredited as a boy standing beneath a lamppost. Right beside him sits his younger brother Charlie Sheen, then only 7 years old. This was years before either of them became household names, before one transformed into a Brat Pack icon and the other a sitcom superstar. They were there together, two children witnessing their father craft one of the decade's most remarkable performances. This moment serves as a perfect metaphor for their entire journey. Side by side from the start, both living in their father's towering shadow, both stepping into the same industry, yet destined to carve vastly different paths. Today we delve deeply into the life and career of Alio Estz, exploring his most notable films, his dynamic with his brother and father, and where he stands today. Born on May 12, 1962, in the Bronx, New York, Alio Estz was quite literally born into show business. His father, Ramon Antonio Gerardo Estevez, had adopted the stage name Martin Sheen in the late 1950s, convinced that his Hispanic surname would hinder his chances in an industry that was not yet ready to embrace ethnic actors in leading roles. Growing up in Malibu, young Alio witnessed his father's career unfold firsthand, including the harrowing production of Apocalypse Now. When Alio was a teenager, Martin Sheen suffered a near-fatal heart attack on the Philippine set in 1977, an event that profoundly affected the entire family. Alio has spoken candidly about how witnessing that crisis taught him the physical and emotional toll the acting profession could exact, instilling in him a cautious approach towards selecting roles and projects. Choosing to retain the Estz name was never a casual decision. Alio has explained in interviews that his father actually encouraged him and his siblings to embrace their birth surname, expressing deep regret over having changed his own. "He made a choice he felt he had to make," Alio once said, "but he didn't want us to feel forced into the same choice." Keeping the Estz name soon became a point of pride for the young actor, a symbol of authenticity and family heritage rather than limitation. The relationship between Alio and his younger brother Carlos, better known as Charlie Sheen, is rich and complex. Both handsome, both talented, and both entering Hollywood in the early 1980s, their paths diverged sharply. Charlie chose to follow directly in their father's footsteps, embracing the Sheen name and pursuing mainstream stardom with determined ambition. Alio, conversely, kept the Estz surname and initially gravitated toward more alternative, independent projects. Although a genuine rivalry existed between them, both brothers have spoken about it with affection in various interviews. They competed for roles early on. For instance, both auditioned for The Breakfast Club, with Alio landing the part of Andrew Clark, while Charlie was not cast. When they collaborated on Young Guns and its sequel, crew members noted a palpable competitive energy as each sought to outshine the other. Yet beneath the rivalry was a deep brotherly bond. Alio was protective of Charlie, even as Charlie's career skyrocketed with films like Platoon and Wall Street. During Charlie's struggles with substance abuse in the 1990s and early 2000s, Alio maintained a careful public distance while offering private support. He has been quoted saying that he had to learn to love his brother from afar during Charlie's darkest moments, recognizing that one cannot save someone who does not want to be saved. An often overlooked story from the mid-1980s, at the peak of their Brat Pack fame, is the pact Alio and Charlie made. They agreed that no matter how successful their careers became, they would always make time for family dinners when both were in Los Angeles, and would never allow Hollywood egos to come between them. According to Martin Sheen, this promise endured for years, even through difficult times. Alio's first major credited role came in an ABC television movie where he starred alongside his father in a powerful drama focused on the juvenile justice system. Playing Danny Caldwell, a teenager whose one night in jail spirals into a month-long nightmare, Estz delivered a haunting performance that showcased his immense talent and potential. In the story, Danny drunkenly rear-ends a police car, prompting his father to teach him a lesson by letting him spend the night in jail. However, what follows is a brutal descent into the harsh realities of the juvenile system. The film earned a Golden Globe nomination, and critics praised Estz's portrayal of the gradual brutalization of a young man. This powerful debut proved that working with his father brought out something exceptional in both actors. As mentioned earlier, Alio's actual film debut was that uncredited appearance in Badlands in 1973, where he stood under a lamppost watching his father's character drive by. But his first substantial role came nearly a decade later in Tex, 1982, an adaptation of S.E. Hinton's novel directed by Tim Hunter. As Johnny Collins, the best friend of Matt Dillon's titular character, Estz displayed a natural screen presence and an intensity that belied his age of 20. The film was a modest production on a small budget, but it introduced Estz to Hollywood audiences as more than just Martin Sheen's son. Critics noted his charisma and predicted bigger things ahead. Francis Ford Coppola's adaptation of another S.E. Hinton novel was a game-changer for Estz. As Tubby Matthews, the wisecracking, Mickey Mouse-loving greaser, he was part of an ensemble cast that would come to define 1980s Hollywood. Alongside actors such as Tom Cruise, Matt Dillon, Ralph Macchio, Patrick Swayze, Rob Lowe, Diane Lane, and Emilio Estevez himself, the film explored the class warfare between working-class greasers and wealthy socialites in 1960s Tulsa. The story resonated powerfully with audiences and launched several careers. Though Estz's role was supporting, his presence in this landmark film cemented his place in the emerging Brat Pack movement. The film grossed over $25 million on a $10 million budget, and even inspired a successful 2023 Broadway musical adaptation. Before the Brat Pack era took off, Estz was a punk rocker hunting radioactive aliens in Alex Cox's cult classic Repo Man. As Otto, a disillusioned punk turned Repo Man, Estz embraced the film's anarchic, offbeat vibe wholeheartedly. Although the low-budget sci-fi comedy initially bombed at the box office, it became a midnight movie phenomenon on VHS. This role established Estz as an actor willing to take risks and choose interesting, unconventional projects over safe mainstream fare, a trait that would characterize much of his career. John Hughes's masterpiece, The Breakfast Club, catapulted Estz's star to new heights. Playing Andrew Clark, the wrestler crushed by his father's expectations, Estz brought emotional depth to what could have been a one-dimensional jock stereotype. His confession about taping Larry Luster's buns together, and the shame and self-loathing visible in his eyes, revealed an actor capable of real emotional honesty. Made on a modest budget of $1 million, the film grossed over $50 million and became one of the defining films of the 1980s, firmly cementing Estz's status as a Brat Pack icon. Released just months after The Breakfast Club, Joel Schumacher's ensemble drama St. Elmo's Fire reunited Estz with fellow Brat Pack alumni and added stars like Rob Lowe, Demi Moore, and Andrew McCarthy. Playing Curdy, a law student obsessed with an older woman portrayed by Andie MacDowell, Estz delivered his most vulnerable performance of the era, romantic to the point of delusion. Despite mixed critical reception, audiences embraced the film, making it a solid commercial success and another definitive Brat Pack picture. At just 23 years old, Estz became the youngest person ever to write, direct, and star in a major Hollywood studio film with Wisdom. The story follows a young man with a criminal record who becomes a modern-day Robin Hood, destroying mortgage records to aid struggling farmers. Though the ambitious crime drama was a critical and commercial failure, it demonstrated Estz's seriousness about filmmaking and his willingness to risk everything on a passion project rather than simply coast on Brat Pack fame. The year 1986 proved challenging for Estz. After the disappointment of Wisdom, he starred in Stephen King's directorial debut, Maximum Overdrive, a campy horror film about sentient killer machines. The movie flopped even harder, earning only $7.4 million against its $9 million budget. And both Estz and King received Golden Raspberry nominations. Two commercial failures in a single year could have ended his career, but salvation was just around the corner. After back-to-back flops, Estz was in desperate need of a hit, and Stakeout delivered in spades. Paired opposite Richard Dreyfuss as mismatched Seattle detectives, this buddy cop comedy opened at #1 and held that spot for 5 consecutive weeks, becoming the 8th highest-grossing film of 1987. Critics and audiences alike loved it, proving Estz could carry a mainstream blockbuster. A sequel, Another Stakeout, followed in 1993, but earned a modest $20 million. "I'll make you famous." These words encapsulate Estz's transformation of Billy the Kid into a rock star outlaw for the MTV generation. Director Christopher Kane assembled a stellar young cast, including Kiefer Sutherland, Lou Diamond Phillips, and Charlie Sheen. But Estz was the undeniable center, manic, charismatic, and genuinely dangerous. The Western earned $56 million worldwide and spawned a 1990 sequel, which Estz also produced and which grossed $59 million. Estz's second directorial effort was The War at Home, a black comedy about garbage men who stumble upon a murder and environmental conspiracy. He wrote, directed, and starred alongside his brother Charlie in this true family collaboration. The sibling chemistry is undeniable, with Keith David nearly stealing the show as a shell-shocked Vietnam veteran. Despite critical panning and poor box office performance, Estz took the criticism in stride and continued honing his filmmaking craft. Few would have guessed that Estz's most enduring character would be a lawyer-turned-youth hockey coach. As Gordon Bombay, sentenced to community service coaching a ragtag Pee-wee team, Estz brought warmth and humor that elevated the familiar underdog story. The film was a massive hit, spawning 2 sequels, D2 in 1994, which earned $46 million, and D3 in 1996, which added another $23 million. It also inspired an NHL franchise and a Disney animated series. For children of the 90s, Coach Bombay was as much a hero as Billy the Kid had been. Estz's savvy profit participation deal provided him with decades of residual income. Estz enjoyed taking on broad comedy, exemplified by The Glimmer Man, a parody of Lethal Weapon, partnered with Samuel L. Jackson and packed with celebrity cameos, including Charlie Sheen. The gleefully silly comedy opened at #1 and became a commercial hit despite critical disdain. Audiences turned out in strong numbers, proving Estz could carry a wide variety of comedic roles. By 1996, Estz had directed 2 features with mixed receptions. The War at Home marked his return to directing after 6 years. This drama, about a Vietnam veteran played by Martin Sheen struggling with PTSD, was deeply personal, especially since Estz was directing his father in a role paralleling Martin's own Apocalypse Now experience. After years of smaller projects, Estz returned with his most ambitious film yet, an ensemble drama set in the Ambassador Hotel on the night Robert F. Kennedy was assassinated in 1968. He wrote, directed, and appeared in the film alongside an all-star cast, including Anthony Hopkins, Helen Hunt, Demi Moore, Sharon Stone, and Martin Sheen. The film premiered at Venice to a standing ovation and earned Screen Actors Guild Award nominations. The Way might well be Estz's masterpiece. Martin Sheen plays an American doctor who embarks on the Camino de Santiago pilgrimage after his son dies on the journey. Written and directed by Alio Estz, the film is a profound meditation on grief, faith, and fatherhood. Sheen's performance is widely regarded as his career best, with the real father-son relationship infusing every frame with genuine emotion. Shot on location along the actual Camino, the film slowly found its audience through word of mouth, inspiring real-life pilgrimages. It's a quiet, deeply personal film about legacy and connection. Estz's most recent directorial effort tackles homelessness and the privatization of public spaces. He wrote, directed, and starred as a Cincinnati librarian who must decide whether to help homeless people staging a sit-in during a deadly cold snap. Despite strong performances from an ensemble cast, including Alec Baldwin, Christian Slater, and Martin Sheen, the film struggled to find an audience. Although the financial disappointment was discouraging, it did not diminish Estz's commitment to socially conscious cinema, and highlighted the challenges adult dramas face in today's franchise-dominated market. Nearly 30 years after his initial portrayal of Coach Bombay, Estz returned to the character in a Disney Plus series. However, this was far from mere nostalgia. The show depicted a bitter, isolated Bombay who had lost his way. Estz infused the role with genuine depth, and when Bombay rediscovers his purpose, it becomes a truly moving moment. The series was well received, but Estz and Disney reportedly could not reach an agreement for a second season, reportedly due to disagreements over COVID-19 vaccination requirements. His absence was deeply felt, but it was a decision emblematic of Estz's career-long pattern of making choices based on his principles, even when professionally costly. Alio Estz has kept his personal life notably private. He was engaged to Demi Moore in the mid-1980s, married Paula Abdul from 1992 to 1994, and has 2 children, Taylor and Paloma, with Carrie Schatz. He has directed television episodes of Columbo and Close to Home, always remaining selective about his projects. At 62, his relationship with Charlie remains loving but complicated. With Martin Sheen now in his mid-80s, the brothers have discussed one final collaboration. Thanks to smart investments from the Mighty Ducks franchise, Estz enjoys the freedom to choose projects on his own terms and lives quietly in Southern California, content with the life he has built. Alio Estz never became the megastar that Charlie briefly was, but he built something more valuable, a career of substance and integrity. He was the heart of the Brat Pack, the most grounded of the group. While others struggled or faded, Estz developed a lasting second act, proving that longevity and authenticity trump fleeting fame. Keeping the Estz name, once seen as a limitation, now feels prescient. "Success is about longevity," Estz once said. "Working when you want, on what you want, with people you respect." From the uncredited boy under the lamppost in Badlands to directing his father in deeply personal films, his career is a testament to authenticity. He never changed his name to escape his father's shadow. Instead, he stepped into his own light. The boy beneath the lamppost grew up to illuminate his own path. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoy this content, please comment, like, and subscribe. It makes a massive difference to the channel. And as always, I truly look forward to seeing you all in the next video.